Hi, I'm Ashley Cooley, a birth, baby, and sleep specialist and mom of 3. There's so much information out there, right? This show is dedicated to helping you clear out the noise so you can figure out what will work best for your baby and your family. If you're looking to learn more about your baby, gain more confidence in your parenting, and get as much sleep as you can through it all, you've come to the right place. Bringing up baby is about to get a little easier. Hey everybody, I'm Ashley Cooley, owner of Birth Baby Sleep, and today we're going to be talking about bringing home a sibling. So for anyone who has a little one or little ones already at home and you're expecting or you're planning to maybe bring in another one or two add to the family, this episode is going to help you out because I've been through it personally a couple of times. We have 3 kids, and we definitely went through some stuff. I will share a little bit of that, but also found some really, really great strategies through it all. So that's why we're doing this, and that's why I want to share. And we had some listeners request this one too, actually. So I love to get to give you guys some content that you're really looking for. So feel free to reach out anytime if you do have ideas for topics for our episodes. You can find us at Birth Baby Sleep on Instagram. You can email Ashley at birthbabysleep.ca. I think you can comment on the episodes depending where you're watching. Anyway, either way, let us know. Happy to bring you episodes that you really want. So, we're going to break this down into what we can do and things to think about before the new baby arrives. And then we're going to talk about what to do, strategies, etc. after baby arrives and baby's at home now, and maybe trying to troubleshoot a couple common scenarios that can happen. So, first, before the new baby arrives, number one, keep baby number one or child. Again, guys, this always is going to depend on how old your older child is, okay? But I'll just kind of give a lay of the land. If they're still in a crib, keep them in the crib. It's a question I get a lot, and it depends again how close together in age the siblings will be, because sometimes it's like, okay, my almost 2-year-old is still in a crib, but we're about to have a baby. Should I get the 2-year-old into a big kid bed so that we can have the crib for the baby? Now, my general recommendation for introducing like a big kid bed or something like that, getting little ones out of the crib, is usually to wait at least until closer to age 3 if you can. It's not like set in stone or anything, but it just means that, hey, when they're a little bit older, closer to the age of 3, there's just way more communication and things that can happen, and the ways that you can help them sleep and sleep well change drastically. So I find that if you can keep them in the crib as long as possible, it might actually mean getting another crib for the baby. Because if your other child is happy to be in their crib and that's a safe space for them and comfortable and familiar, I wouldn't try to change that up. However, let's say your little one is 3 years old. They are ready to go into a big kid bed and the baby's coming. Ideally, you would switch up the rooms or the bed situation at least, a couple of months if you can before baby arrives. So it's not happening like the week of or right after baby comes home. Now we're going to switch everything up. While on one hand, usually those older kiddos getting a big kid bed and turning it into a big kid room is pretty exciting. But one of the things that we don't want to do after the baby's arrival, which I'll get into again in a minute, is to have anything change because of the baby. Okay. So if you're going to make a big change, like doing some potty training overnight, perhaps, or switching the big kid bed, doing things like that just to get ahead for when the new baby comes, because we know we're going to have those longer nights and busy days again. So first, I wouldn't rush the potty training. Maybe that's another episode we could talk about, actually. Um, but at least for when it comes to keeping them in the crib, honestly, I would try to do is keep them there as long as possible. Maybe that means buying another crib, or maybe that means because oftentimes babies are in a bassinet, or maybe they're co-sleeping with us for the first few months or something like that. So we know already we're not going to need the crib right away. We might need it at month 3 or 4 or later, but sometimes that can buy you a little bit extra time. And so, yeah, if you're making any big changes, ideally you're doing it let's say 2 months or so before or 2 months after baby has arrived. So it's not really coinciding with their arrival. All right. So we want to keep the older kiddo in their crib as long as possible, if that's the scenario for you. There are some really great books, like some sibling books, to help them kind of understand a little bit of what's going on, what it might be like when the baby arrives. The baby might cry, the baby might need some milk. I would start looking for some books, some kid books that can speak to what it's like to have a sibling at home. Again, depending on the age of your child, it's still something that's hard, a concept for them to figure when, they don't see the baby yet or what have you, but it can help get them excited. It can help them feel a part of the journey too. And this is going to be their sibling as much as your child. So, involving them early and having these books can just help them to conceptualize, I guess. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? All right. So keep the crib as long as possible for the bigger kiddos if you can. Find some books that are going to help with, hey, where's a sibling coming home? What's this going to look like? What's this going to be like? How might you feel about it? And what can we do about it? So even the books can give you some good ideas. The other thing we want to do before new baby's arrival is model what it means to be gentle. Okay. Again, always depending on how old the child is, but if they're on the younger side, your firstborn or your older ones, then just there's going to be a new baby at home. So we want to make sure they're not going to, press their fingers into that fontanelle on the top of their head. That's, skull's not fused and you can just push right in there. So there's going to be some times where we want them to maybe hold the baby, touch the baby, but be gentle with the baby. I'm sure any of you who have pets, you probably are already on top of that. We want to be gentle with the pets whenever we can. So just kind of thinking in terms of those lines when your older child or soon to be older sibling is around pets or animals or babies or whatever, that we're just talking about and demonstrating what it is to be gentle. Okay, so those would really be the main things I would think about before baby's arrival. Notice that I didn't say things like make sure you sleep train before the baby arrives or make sure that they're XYZ. Like it really depends on the scenario, but in a nutshell, I would try to keep as many things the same as possible through that transition. Again, if you need to make big changes like potty training and you're kind of on a roll and we need to keep going, or the big kid bed or what have you, those being some really big key ones around this age range, is doing them, trying to do it at least a couple months before or a couple months after, and kind of leaving that time of we're almost ready to have baby and we just had baby, and that just being a time of, getting used to things again and finding new routines. Looking for the best for your baby? Atlantic Canada's Baby Store is here for you. Nurtured, which is right here in Halifax, Nova Scotia, has the best products for baby. The staff are so incredibly helpful, and they have the most top-rated car seats and strollers you won't find anywhere else. So whether you need expert advice or the perfect baby gear, Nurtured's got you covered. And guess what? Nurtured's giving Bringing Up Baby podcast listeners an exclusive deal. Get 15% off your order from nurtured.ca when you spend a minimum of $75 using code BUB, B-U-B. Brand exclusions apply, valid now through till November 30th, 2024. Nurtured, supporting your parenting journey every step of the way. When it comes to, before baby arrives, just want to share a little story here. When we were about to have our third daughter, so she was about a month and a bit away from the due date. I was a month and a bit away from the due date. And we started noticing our then 5-year-old, so not the younger child, but our older child, our then 5-year-old was starting to wake up overnight and wanting somebody, needing help to go back to sleep. And she didn't need that. She was 5.5 at the time, and she didn't need that since she was like, guys, at 3 months old. Like she was the nighttime sleeper of all the kids. She was it. And so she starts waking up at night and needing help to go back to sleep. She's starting struggling to fall asleep at night and needing a little bit of extra coaxing there. So we just noticed these sleep issues and a little bit of behavior stuff happening leading up to the time of having the baby. And we did chalk it up to, it felt a little obvious. Like it's very timely that this is happening. And then once baby arrived, it didn't really get better. It definitely stayed the same, but then it also got a lot worse. So we actually sought out quite a bit of help for her behavior, for the sleep stuff. I think that this is going to have to be its own episode someday because it was a whirlwind. But what it came down to was us needing to help her get better sleep so that behavior could be much better during the day. And then let's just focus on the sleep right now so that we can then feel capable of focusing on the rest later, right? So when we went through all of that, that was a really like tiny little nugget of what it was like. But the biggest thing that came out of that from reaching out to therapists and child behaviorists and all the things was to have planned quality time with your big kid or big kids. So, what this means is every day, so now you have a baby, a new baby at home, and never want to put anything more on your plate, mama. If you're there with a new baby, hopefully you're just resting and doing all that as much as possible, but plan quality time with your big kid. How it could look is that you could say it could be as little as 5 minutes. And I know your kiddo probably doesn't know what 5 minutes is, so maybe you might set a timer or something. But for 5 minutes every day, you're going to have mom primarily, if especially if mom is the one who gave birth and who may be breastfeeding. And so, like, lots of happening with mom here. So, that mom and older child will have this one-on-one time for 5 minutes. Like, it can start at 5 minutes, it can only be 5 minutes, you can make it 10 minutes, whatever works for you. But you also want to have it kind of around the same time every day because your little one, I'm pretty sure, is not going to know, okay, at 2 o'clock, we're going to have our time together. So if you did it at, say, right before dinner or right after dinner or right before a nap or after a nap or something, there's something to indicate that, like, once after we do this or before we do this, that's when we're going to have that time together. So your little one's always going to know and can anticipate when that's going to happen. And the other part of it is that this quality time, this one-to-one play with your older child, so hopefully somebody can be with the newborn, is to have it completely directed by them. So they are deciding what we're playing with. If it's like dolls and stuff, it's like, okay, what should my doll do? What should my doll say? Really giving them full control. I mean, as much as possible over what you're playing and how you're playing and getting that one-on-one undivided attention. And if they know and they can get that regularly, that makes a huge difference in terms of how they can get through their day, how you can redirect sometimes. So the other thing we don't want to do after baby's arrival is blame anything on the baby. Oh, I can't do that with you because I'm with the baby, or I can't, even though it's true, sometimes it can be helpful to not actually blame the baby. Oh, that's why I can't do something. So instead, you could say, oh, I'd love to play that with you. I'll be ready in a few minutes. Or you set a timer, or you'll say, let's do it during our, you know, mom and kid time or one-on-one time, whatever you want to call it. Maybe call it something fun. So that they will at least be able to be like, okay, yes, like that could be something we could do later. She's not just saying, no, we're not doing it at all. Right? So that kind of thing. So planning some quality time that you do regularly, maybe it's just for 5 minutes at first. If you can build on that, great. But even just having a bit of quality time like that every single day with just the two of you could be a huge difference. White noise is your friend. Okay. So when it comes to sleep in particular, having white noise still for your older child, if they still have it or want it, can be helpful because, we know little babies wake up at night and such. So if siblings are in different rooms but are sharing a wall, I would say to put the white noise machines along the wall that is shared. Sometimes you can even triple up and put something out like a fan or somebody's white noise app from their phone or something, put it in the hallway. Those can be really helpful for drowning out any noises so that sleep's not disrupted for everyone. It can also be helpful to involve siblings in the same bedtime routine. Again, depends how old we are and how new this baby is. But if you can read stories together, or if while you're feeding the newborn, your little one can be there sitting reading stories, or maybe they're with another parent or caregiver, all of those things come down to each individual family, what they're comfortable with doing, how old the babies are, all that kind of stuff. So I'm just throwing out some ideas. And lastly, a great idea I find is having a quiet play box, or it doesn't have to be like all quiet stuff exactly, but just maybe having a little box of toys on rotation. Okay, so you don't have to buy new toys all the time, but when something's left behind for a little while and then you bring it back out and all of a sudden it's brand new again. So having a little rotation of toys in a little box or something that can be helpful to distract your little one while you need to do something with the baby, like say, for instance, feeding them, or preparing the bottle or breastfeeding. And sometimes when those babies get a little bit more distracted with their feedings, then feeding on the couch while your sibling is just over there playing is all of a sudden more challenging. And now they have a bit of FOMO and they're not getting their full feeds in. So I've been in those situations. I have many friends have been in those situations where I need to feed the baby in a quiet, dark place so that they can focus. But I have a toddler also at home who I can't just leave running around doing nothing. So maybe that's when they have some quiet time themselves, or maybe you're a family that doesn't mind using screens for just that period of time, or you have a quiet play box or something like that, that they have an activity while you have an activity as well. All right. I guess in a nutshell, to kind of wrap this up, is with the older kiddos, when new babies come home, I find a lot of the times we're really able to nip it in the bud because we understand, right? We understand why they could be having extra feelings or struggles with certain things around this time. So we always want to acknowledge their feelings. That is really key. I'm sorry you're sad because I can't play with you right now. I really wish we could play too. It's okay to be sad about that. Like those kinds of things can just help them feel their feelings. They're valid, they're real. But now we also have some strategies to help mitigate those, like having that one on one time and trying to involve all the kids in the routines whenever feasible. So, lastly, of course, you want to keep them as well rested as possible. That is number one. So, going back to our little story earlier with our 5-year-old, the behavior was getting out of control and just really challenging behavior to work through during the day. So, what we decided to do is, you know what? We need sleep. We need to get sleep. So we are going to help her sleep, the 5-year-old, as best we can. And if that means co-sleeping, and if that means she gets up in the night and comes get a parent because the other parent is with the newborn, and thankfully the third child, the middle child, just sleeps through it all. So we really went through that, but honest to goodness, when we were able to focus on just the sleep, like it was automatically helping the behavior. And it allowed us all to feel more rested, more ready to take on the day, more ready to tackle some challenges because we still had some learning to do. We know that. We're always learning as parents as our kids get older. So keeping them well rested, acknowledge those feelings. And we've got resources for you for that. If you didn't already know, we have our free Bringing Up Baby community. For instance, there's a parenting class in there with Kim Marshall from Roots and Wings Childhood. We also can chat in there. There's a private message board. You can ask questions, see what other parents are doing about things. But there are some great classes in there you might want to check out, and the Bringing Up Baby podcast, of course. Scrolling back to maybe a few other episodes and finding some ways to get good sleep for anybody in the household. And we also have a big kids sleep class. So our big kids sleep class is basically, I think it's roughly an hour or so. We share a couple of resources too. And this class is literally like the all the details that I would go into in a consultation to help you create a plan and get better sleep ASAP. Okay, so if you would like access to our Big Kids Sleep class, go to birthbabysleep.ca/classes. Scroll down, you'll see kind of all the different classes that we have to offer. You can get access right away as soon as you sign up. And we can also chat about if you have any questions. So that's all for me today, guys. I hope this was helpful. Congratulations to anyone who is expecting another little one soon. And I hope it all goes well. All right, guys, take care, and we'll see you back here next time. If you're looking for more information or support along your parenting journey, check out birthbabysleep.ca. That's where you're going to find prenatal classes, postpartum and new baby resources, and sleep support during the childhood years. Lastly, but certainly not least, if you got something out of this episode or our show in general, leaving a rating or a quick review goes a really long way to helping others find us. So please consider leaving one. That's all for now. I'm Ashley Cooley, and we'll see you back here next time.